Well, good afternoon. This is Kurt Peckett, Chair of the Energy Facility Site Evaluation Council, calling to order our regular monthly Wednesday, December 17th meeting. And Ms. Grantham, if you'd please call the roll.
Certainly, Chair. Department of Commerce.
Elizabeth Osborne, present.
Department of Ecology.
Blake Nelson, present.
Department of Fish and Wildlife.
Nate Hamplin, present.
Department of Natural Resources.
Absent today.
Utilities and Transportation Commission.
Brian Ryberic, present.
For local government and optional state agencies for the Hop Hill Solar Project, Paul Crouppen. For the Carriage Solar Project, Matt Childs.
Matt Childs, present.
Lula Gap Project, Adam File.
Adam File is here. Thank you.
For the Golden Eye Best Project, Robbie Eckroth.
Robbie Eckroth, present.
And for the Cascade Renewable Transmission Project, Asa Leckie.
Asa Leckie, present.
Moving on to Assistant Attorney Generals, John Thompson.
Present.
Zach Packer.
Present.
And Talia Tewitt.
Present.
Council staff, Sonia Bumpus.
Present.
Amy Hofkemeyer.
Present.
Amy Moon.
Present.
Sarah Randolph.
Present.
John Green.
Present.
John Barnes.
Present.
Joanne Snarsky.
Also present.
Allie Smith.
Allie Smith, present.
Maria Belkina.
Present.
Let me make sure I got everybody on my list. I believe that is everyone for staff. Moving on to operational updates for Kittitas Valley Wind Project.
Jared Cassidy, present.
Wild Horse Wind Power Project.
Jennifer Galbraith, present.
Grace Harbor Energy Center.
This is Adam Abel for Grace Harbor Energy Center.
Thank you. Chehalis Generation Facility.
Jeremy Smith, present.
Columbia Generating Station.
Kelly Elsathagan, present.
Columbia Solar. And Ms. Randolph, I believe you'll be giving the update for Columbia Solar. Is that correct?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
No problem. And moving on to Goose Prairie Solar, is that you as well, Sarah?
It is.
Thank you. And then last is Ostria Solar.
John Volts, present.
Thank you. And is there anyone available for the Council for the Environment?
Sarah Reineveld is present.
Thank you. Chair, there's a quorum for all councils.
Thank you very much. I might just exercise the prerogative of the chair for just a moment. And given the holiday season that is, regardless of what we believe or celebrate, holiday season is a time of joy for some and a very hard time for others. And on top of that regular dynamic, we have those Washingtonians who have unfortunately lost their lives in the challenge of the floods and snow, as well as who have lost their livelihoods and are just deeply impacted. So I want to recognize that on behalf of all of us at FSEC, and certainly want to also thank our council members, whether they're local representatives or those on permanent council, whose agencies have been very much on the front lines, in many cases, serving the people of Washington the best they can, both as state employees, but as well as just humans. And certainly there are other agencies, probably Ecology would be one that comes to mind, whose job really begins when the floods dissipate and the cleanup begins, and other infrastructure that needs to be restored. So just want to recognize that time in which we find ourselves here today. And with that, would turn to the regular business of the day. So with that, council members, we have a proposed agenda before us. I would entertain a motion to adopt the agenda. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Are there edits or additions to the agenda? Hearing none. All in favor of adopting the agenda as proposed, say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Agenda is adopted. Next, we'll move on to the minutes. And as you can see, we have a longer list than normal. So let me just note at the outset for our council members that I will entertain a motion, but I'll do so by reading the item that we are going to take up. And if you so choose to move it, you can just say so moved and a second, and I will basically put the motion language that we need into the record as I read it. So with that suggested advice, the chair would entertain a motion to adopt the October 21st, 2025 Carriger special meeting minutes. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Seconded.
Thank you. Are there any edits or additions to the minutes? That is on the table now. This is again the Carriger special meeting minutes. I did not have any. Hearing none, all those in favor of adopting the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Very well. The minutes for the Carriger meeting are adopted. Next up, the chair would entertain a motion to adopt the November 17, 18, and 19, 2025 Cascade Renewable Transmission Informational Public Hearing minutes for each of the following counties: Clark County, Skamania County, and Klickitat County. Is there such a motion?
This is
So moved.
Zalecki, so moved.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Leckey. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Council. The motion is on the table to adopt these hearing minutes for the public informational meeting again, as I read it. Are there any edits or changes to the minutes? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Okay. The informational public meeting minutes are adopted. The chair will entertain a motion to adopt the November 17, 18, and 19, 2025 Cascade Renewable Transmission Land Use Hearing minutes for the counties of Clark County, Skamania County, and Klickitat County. Is there such a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second? Did the clerk get the second? Thank you. The minutes are on the table. Are there any edits or changes to the transmission land use hearing minutes for the Cascade Renewable Transmission Project? Hearing none. All in favor of adopting the minutes as before us, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, thank you. Our last item is the chair would entertain a motion to adopt the November 19th, 2025 monthly meeting minutes of the FSEC Council. Is there such a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Councilor Iberic. And I'm sorry, the other voice, was that a second?
It can be now. I second.
Thank you. All right, the minutes are on the table. Are there any changes from other council members? I will add one. And on page 31 in Horse Heaven, which obviously has an ongoing focus, understandably, and I just wanted to note minor, but nonetheless, as part of my piece of the record, on top of page 31, line 3, based on council input, my ability to help facilitate as chairs within scope. Just wanted to clarify that's council with an S.
Yep.
Yes. And I think in the future, I'll try to say legal counsel just to help make that more clear. So the change is based on COUNSEL, council input. With that change, any others? Hearing none. All those in favor of adopting the regular meeting minutes for November 19th council meeting, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, minutes are adopted. With that, we will move on to project updates, starting with the Kittitas Valley Wind Project. And Mr. Castay, if you wanted to share any updates with us, thank you.
Yes, good afternoon, Chair Becca, FSEC Council and staff. This is Jared Cassidy with EDP Renewables for the Kittitas Valley Wind Power Project. We had nothing non-routine to report for the period.
Thank you. Moving on to the Wild Horse Wind Power Project. Jennifer Galbraith.
Yes, can you hear me?
We can.
Excellent. Thank you, Chair Beckett, council members and staff. This is Jennifer Galbraith with Puget Sound Energy representing the Wild Horse Wind Facility. I have one non-routine update for the reporting period. On October 25th, the spill release following collapse of the damaged turbine was cleaned up in accordance with the Wild Horse Spill Prevention Control and Countermeasures Plan and in coordination with the Department of Ecology. As of today, approximately 85% of the turbine components have been removed and transported off-site for recycling or disposal. The remaining components are scheduled to be removed before the end of December, dependent on wind conditions. PSE is working to complete a root cause analysis of what caused the initial damage to the tower, and we will keep the council informed as we learn more and as final cleanup activities are completed. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Since this had a little more attention on it of late, are there any questions for Ms. Galbraith by the council?
Nope. Looking forward to the root cause analysis.
Very well. Thank you, Councilor Barrett. Moving on to the Chehalis Generation Facility, Jeremy Smith.
Good afternoon, Chair Beckett, council members, and staff. This is Jeremy Smith, the operations manager representing Chehalis Generation Facility. I have nothing non-routine to report for this period.
Thank you. Moving on to the Grays Harbor Energy Center, Adam Abel.
Yes, this is Adam Abel for Grays Harbor Energy, and we have nothing non-routine to report for this period.
Thank you. Moving on to Columbia Solar, Sarah Randolph, the FSEC staff.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chair Beckett, council members, and staff. For the record, this is Sarah Randolph, site specialist for Columbia Solar. The facility update is provided in your packet. There are no non-routine updates to report.
Thank you. Moving on to the Columbia Generating Station and WNP 1 and 4, Kelsey Elsathagan. Elsathagan, I usually get it right, Kelly, I'm sorry.
That's no worries. Good afternoon, Chair Beckett, council members and staff. This is Kelly Elsathagan for Columbia Generating Station. We have nothing non-routine to report for the period.
Very well. Moving on to Goose Prairie Solar, Sarah Randolph again.
Thank you again. For the record, this is Sarah Randolph, site specialist for Goose Prairie. The facility update is provided in your packet. There are no non-routine updates to report.
Thank you. Moving on to Austria Solar, John Volz.
Thank you, Chair Beckett, council members and staff. This is John Volz with Cypress Creek Renewables representing Austria Solar. Construction continues. We are complete with most of the mechanical connections. 2 of the 3 circuits have been fully mechanically completed. Site roads are complete. The substation activity is approaching the mechanical completion. We have begun construction of the O&M facility. Other than that, there is nothing non-routine to report for the period.
Thank you very much. Moving on to Carriger Solar, Joanne Snarsky.
Oh, thank you, Chair Beckett and council members. This is Joanne Snarsky, the siting specialist for proposed Carriger Solar facility. Excuse me, it's no longer proposed for the Carriger Solar facility in Klickitat County. In fact, on December 2nd, 2025, the governor's office notified Chair Beckett that the Carriger Solar site certification agreement was approved by Governor Ferguson. The agreement was executed by both parties and became effective on December 15th, 2025. Carriger Solar and their contractors are in the process of developing schedules and drafting plans. We will be meeting with them soon to begin to discuss those items. May I answer any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Snarsky. And you did receive a bless from the council repair. So we hope your cold doesn't get worse. Council members, more seriously, are there any comments or questions that you had given the recent official decision by Governor Ferguson? Okay. We appreciate the clarity and the ability to move forward. So look forward to doing so and including, as was noted in our press release, some of the follow-up that's intended by the governor's office in terms of tribal engagement, and we certainly welcome that further guidance and our shared path ahead. So with that, moving on to the Horse Heaven project update, Amy Moon.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Council Chair Beckett and FSEC council members. FSEC staff continue to work with the certificate holder reviewing pre-construction survey requirements and proposed mitigation plans that are being developed in coordination with the Pre-Operational Technical Advisory Group, or PTAG. This work is a key component for refining the micrositing of infrastructure and informs the placement of wildlife and habitat buffers, as well as informing seasonal mitigation plans. Examples of such plans include a burrowing owl mitigation plan and a wildlife movement corridor mitigation plan. FSEC staff will continue to work with the certificate holder to review survey plans and PTAG facilitator reports and for approval by the FSEC Executive Director Bumpus per FSEC Policy 16-01, delegating certain plan approvals to the FSEC Director. On October 15th, the Council voted to approve Resolution 357, determining the buffers required for the wind turbines under Mitigation Measure Species 5. This mitigation measure contained two parts. The first part is the identification of the required turbine buffers for the purpose of ferruginous hawk mitigation, either a minimum of 0.6 miles or 2 miles based on criteria defined within the mitigation measure. The second part is a mitigation and monitoring plan for all turbines permitted to be built closer than 2 miles of a historic ferruginous hawk nest. The certificate holder has worked with the PTAG to develop this plan, and staff have reviewed it. Delegation Policy 16-01 delegates authority to the FSEC Director for approval of this plan, but the Director has discretion to elevate plans back to the Council. Director Bumpus is currently reviewing this plan and anticipates elevating it to the Council for review and consideration at the January Council meeting. Staff expect this to be posted for public comment December 29th of 2025 through January 11th of 2026 under the Open Public Meetings Act requirements for final action. And the citation for that is Chapter 42.304230 of the Revised Code of Washington. The Council would then have a week for comment review prior to taking action at the January 21st Council meeting. Does the Council have any questions?
Members of the Horse Heaven Council, comments or questions?
The only question I have is that consistent with timelines that we've used in the past? I presume it is. It's just I having newly joined this. Is that kind of our typical timeline of prior to the council meeting to have that time?
Oh, the amount of time for council review of public comments?
Yep.
I would say yes. We have unfortunately had tighter review comment or time for council members to review comments, and we are now committing to a longer review period because we did have some shorter reviews, and those have been very challenging for the council to read all the comments as well as for staff and the public. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. Yep. Very good.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Other comments or questions from the council?
Hey, this is Councilperson Nelson. I just wanted to add, I very much appreciate just the heads up of how long the days will be, about an approximation there, just so we can plan accordingly. So just wanted to thank you very much for that.
You're welcome.
Other council comments, questions? Okay, then we will move on to the Hop Hill Solar Project, and John Barnes is with us from the FSEC staff for the update.
Thank you, Chair Beckett and council members. This is John Barnes, FSEC staff for the Hop Hill application. Staff continue to work with the applicant on the submission of additional application materials for the Hop Hill project. The applicant is anticipating a spring 2026 submission for these materials. Staff are working with the applicant to finalize the submission and ensure the application will provide adequate information to reach a CEPA threshold determination for this project. Staff will update the council with recommendations for next steps after the applicant submits the new application materials that reflect the details of project's expansion. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Barnes. Council? Seeing none, we'll move on to, I believe, the Wallula Gap project. John Barnes as well.
Thank you, Chair Beckett and council members. This is John Barnes, FSEC staff for the Wallula Gap application. Staff are continuing to coordinate with the applicant and the Yakima Nation Cultural Resource Program staff following receipt of the TCP study regarding identified impacts from the project and potential mitigation. This coordination with the tribe and the mitigations that can be resolved is part of the SEPA determination process for this project. Are there any questions?
Council members, any questions? Okay. We'll then move on to the GoldenEye battery storage project, and Joanne Snarski will provide the update.
Thank you, Chair Beckett. Again, this is Joanne Snarski, the siting specialist for the proposed GoldenEye battery energy storage facility in Skagit County. The applicant recently submitted a revised site plan for the facility that incorporates a significant increase to restoration of the adjacent Hanson Creek and a stream that flows into that creek. A meeting was held with DFW, Department of Fish and Wildlife, and other interested partners, including tribal representatives, to go over the revised plan. Based on this revision and other identified data needs, staff are developing an additional data request for the applicant. This information is needed to help us complete our State Environmental Policy Act determination for the project. May I answer any questions?
Thank you. Any questions, council members? Okay. Then we will move on to the Cascade Renewable Transmission Project, and Maria Belkina will kick us off on that update.
Thank you, Chair Beckett and members. For the record, my name is Maria Belkina, siting specialist assigned to and reporting on the Cascade Renewable Transmission Project.
Ms. Belkina, you might just try and up your voice just a little bit.
Okay.
Thank you.
Following the public informational hearings and land use consistency hearings held November 17th through 19th, FSEC staff have continued formal review activities for the Cascade Renewable Transmission Project. Staff are currently reviewing the application for site certification for compliance with WAC 463-60 and evaluating whether the application contains sufficient information to support the next phase of review. As part of these efforts, staff are identifying subject areas where additional information or clarification may be requested through future data requests, consistent with FSEC's statutory process. FSEC staff continue to coordinate closely with U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, which is expected to serve as NEPA lead agency, as well as with Washington Department of Ecology and Oregon Department of Energy and Oregon Department of Environmental Quality to support alignment across state and federal review process. This coordination includes early discussion related to Clean Water Act permitting water quality certification and sequences of state and federal reviews. Staff also continue to support ongoing tribal engagement and preparation for government-to-government consultations. Consistent with the Centennial Accord and RCW 43.376 in coordination with FSEC's tribal liaison, Lisa McLean. Outreach and coordination activities are being aligned with the border environmental review timeline. And now, Amy Hafkamar has some additional information regarding questions that were raised in the public informational hearings and land use consistency hearings in November.
Thank you.
Before I jump into my update, are there questions for Ms. Belkina?
Yeah, please proceed. I'd probably after kicking the rest of it off.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Council. I would like to provide an update. I'm sorry.
Lecky raised his hand.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, Council Lecky. Please proceed with your question or comment.
After our last hearings, I had some locals approach me about some information. Was there a previous permit submitted to the Army Corps of Engineers that was denied?
That I don't believe we have any information on that. No, not that we're aware of.
Okay, thank you. And also, some other locals brought up some concerns about the DC current and effect on fish. That sometimes, some projects, they pointed out that they use AC current because there's negligible effect on fish, but DC current can force the fish to align with the transmission line. It's like an involuntary process. Has there been any information on that? Thank you.
We're in the midst of reviewing the application, so I cannot point you to information on that in the application offhand, but we can look into that and add it to future data requests.
Yeah, I will clarify my questions. I'm just saying these are questions that locals are bringing up to me. I don't expect answers here on the spot. I'm just wondering if there's data on some of this. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Council Lecky, let me just affirm, I think on behalf of all the council members, but certainly as chair, you as a representative of this project council living in the community where those kinds of questions that you encounter just on your daily basis are appreciated and certainly encouraged. And at the same time, obviously, how that's done as a member of the council is sometimes another matter. So I want to acknowledge some of those limitations that come with you as a member of the project council, but most importantly, both the staff and the council, want to continually capture those. And I don't think there's any doubt that electromagnetic pulse impacts into the environment, especially on other fish species, will be a primary issue. It already feels like to me. So appreciate that.
No, thank you. And I know a lot of these things, just a little bit of information can prevent some headaches down the road too. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Early information is always very vital. So I think Director Bumpus wanted to jump in as well. So please.
Thank you, Chair Beckett, and good afternoon, council members. Councilmember Lecky's question reminded me, and given that we do have new council members who are still in the process of orientating with FSEC and its process, when you are out in the community and you're being asked questions or given input, please feel free to direct those folks to FSEC to connect them with us. That way, the people that are reaching out to you can start to engage with us. In some cases, they may not be on the public notice list or something like that. And so just a reminder to encourage them to reach out to us directly and submit their concerns, their comments to FSEC so that we can get them in the record. Thank you.
Appreciate that, Director Bumpus. It jogs my mind too of one thing that in the moment here, I'll go ahead and put into the record. And Council Lecky, happy to take this, kind of offline with this between you and the staff. But in particular, in rural communities and having grown up one not as remote at times as counties on the Columbia, word of mouth is important, and other means, non-traditional means of finding, vital voices and questions are to be encouraged. And so if you, anyone, not just to put all that on you, Council Lecky, but, resources in each county, in each community that we can be aware of, obviously places like libraries, other community centers are always important. But as we continue to extend our ability to do outreach as well as notice people when we're having hearings and public comment periods, there will be much more to come. So we'll note that, I guess, for the collective going forward effort. So with that.
No, you're spot on. And I did share those resources and contacts, but also they see my name on the list, and I'm 10 minutes down the road. So when they're going into Vancouver, they always stop in and share their concerns too. But yeah, you're spot on. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Unfortunately, it makes me think that you're the new version of first responder here. So with that, Director Bumpus, if there's anything else for you, I think we'll go back to Ms. Hofkameier.
Thank you. I would like to provide an update for the record on the pre-application activity that occurred prior to the formal application submission. Within our statute and rules, there are requirements specific to the pre-application of transmission facilities, which do not apply to the pre-application of generation facilities. The Cascade Renewable Transmission staff and FSEC staff met for an initial consultation in September of 2023. And after this required meeting in December of 2023, Cascade Renewable Transmission submitted its pre-application request, pre-application plan, and pre-application deposit of $10,000. Shortly after this submission, pre-application stakeholder notifications occurred with pre-application notices being mailed to landowners within 300 feet of the proposed corridor, 7 cities and 3 counties along the river corridor, as well as tribes, many other state agencies, and other stakeholders. Public informational hearings were also held under the pre-application requirements for the transmission lines in Clark County, Skamania County, and Klickitat County on February 6th, 7th, and 8th of 2024, respectively. These were attended by then Chair Kathleen Drew and FSEC staff. Documents pertaining to these initial meetings and the route negotiations that are required for pre-application of transmission are found in the pre-application section of the council SharePoint. Staff are working to post these materials onto the FSEC website, and they will be available for public access by the end of this week. Additionally, a summary of this pre-application activity is found in section 2.5 of the publicly available application for site certification. So I'll pause here if there are any questions for pre-application before moving on. Is there any questions on what I've captured so far?
Are there any online hands, Ms. Grantham? Or not? No, I think go ahead and proceed, please.
Thank you. I would also like to provide some information regarding the comments received during the November 2025 public hearings. As to comments that the application is a draft and that the hearings were scheduled prematurely, we recognize that the application materials were marked with the term draft. However, FSEC consider these materials received to be the formal application submission based on our authorizing statute. In addition to pre-submission communications with the applicant confirming application details, we also received a transmittal memo marking the packages for FSEC's use, as well as a deposit of $50,000, which RCW 80.50.071 requires an applicant to submit at the time of application submission. Additionally, we have traditionally used the date of receipt of application materials and the deposit as the relevant date for scheduling public informational meetings as required by our statute. The relevant statute, RCW 80.50.090, states that the council shall conduct an informational public hearing in the county of the proposed site as soon as practicable, but not later than 60 days after receipt of an application for site certification. The requirement does not make reference to whether or not the application is complete. This is in contrast with the language in RCW 80.50.100 that states FSEC shall report to the governor its recommendation within 12 months of receipt of an application deemed complete by the director. The completeness review can take months due to the length and complexity of most applications before FSEC. If we were to hold off scheduling the initial informational hearings until the determination that an application is complete enough to proceed, there would be risk of violating RCW 80.50.090, stating that the hearing shall occur within 60 days following the receipt of an application. With respect to our current work, since holding the public informational and land use hearings on November 17th, 18th, and 19th, staff have completed a review of the comments received at those hearings, alongside our review of the application materials, which is ongoing. We are working with our consultant as well as legal counsel to develop a land use specific data request to be sent to the applicant. We believe this additional information is necessary to have a complete record in support of the council's land use consistency determination. We will be providing the applicant's responses to both the council and the public in early 2026, likely in late January or February. The council may wish to afford these parties that commented on land use consistency a chance to respond to the additional information provided by the applicant in response to the data requests, and for the applicant to reply to those responses before the ALJ drafts the determination on land use consistency for the council's consideration. Are there any questions on what I've covered to this point?
Council Pamplin.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair, and thanks, Ms. Hofkmeyer, for this update here and review and bringing us up to speed of what the plans are. I did have a question relative to the statements here that FSEC staff are working with the AG's office to submit land use specific data requests to the applicant. But also, are we directing any questions to the local jurisdictions so that we can understand directly from those with the jurisdictional authority what they think the project applicant's proposal is and whether or not it's consistent with their land use ordinances? Thanks.
Yes, so the short answer is yes. We are reaching out to the local jurisdictions. We have had the most communication to this point with the city of North Bonneville and their city planners evaluating the applicability, in particular where the proposal passes through the city of North Bonneville, it passes through on federal land. And so we are working with that city staff to evaluate the applicability of those land use provisions. We are still working on coordinating with the local jurisdictions, offering interagency agreements where they may be desired to work with the local jurisdictions, planning departments, as well as other departments like fire departments and whatnot.
So then we can anticipate that we'll not only hear from the applicant as far as what they think their project is consistent with land use regulations, but we'll also hear from those jurisdictions directly.
We are requesting that information. It will ultimately be up to those jurisdictions as to how they want to participate or what information they would like to provide or not.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor Baird.
Just a couple of quick questions on the draft information that did come up at the public hearings. And I think what I'm understanding, just want to make sure I'm understanding correctly, is we're looking at the contents of the documents rather than kind of the names of the documents in order to identify what it is included in there. And we're seeing indicia of a applicant providing information that is an application before FSEC. Am I hearing that correctly? Am I understanding the situation correctly?
Correct. Yes. The term draft on the document is a term that's on the document. Frankly, throughout the review process, we work continually with the developer to identify impacts, gather more information, develop mitigation measures. So the process itself is by its nature very iterative. And there are provisions in our statute where there are milestones for a concise, updated application, both prior to and following adjudication. And so we expect, as we move through this process, to receive periodic supplemental information, perhaps revisions to the application, and all of those will be made available as they're received.
And has this happened before? Have we seen a document entitled draft or at least listed as draft where FSEC has processed that as an application, or is this kind of an identification of first impression?
I would say it's not uncommon for applicants to submit their applications and indicate in the document that this is a draft. Just as an example, there'll be plans that may be in the appendices and they'll all be labeled draft plan and, with the title. So as Ms. Hofkmeyer was saying, the application continues to be supplemented as we move through the process of siting. And there are, one thing that comes to mind too that I wanted to make sure I mentioned is that there are what I would call checkpoints along the way in the siting process where the applicant needs to submit an updated application before we move through that next milestone. So just as an example, we're going to be generating data requests as we're doing the environmental review. In this case, what we're talking about today, the land use consistency determination, getting enough information for the council to make that decision. But prior to adjudication, the applicant's required to update their application with basically go back and all of the data requests, responses that they provided to us, they have to go into their application and update it so that the council is starting the adjudicative record with basically a clean and current version of the application proposal before it goes into adjudication. After adjudication is the next checkpoint. After adjudication, they have to then update their application again, and this time it's to update it. They can of course update it if other things have occurred, but one of the reasons that is the case is so that they can take all of the information from the adjudicative record and then make sure that any changes they want to make, mitigation measures that they might want to now include based off the adjudicative hearing, can now be reflected in that application.
Thank you. It's helpful.
And
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to jump in on your question.
I guess, just from a timeline perspective, are we considering the application complete at this point, or?
We're still evaluating.
Still evaluating, okay.
I would go so far as to say that I would expect we would need at least one, if not more, data requests to be able to deem the application complete enough for the next step.
Okay. And just new guy questions. Do we send a letter saying we now deem it to be complete? Is there a point in time where the applicant and other participants in the process know, okay, it is complete for purposes of timelines that come from that going forward?
Because our process is so iterative and we do have these milestones where there are statutory requirements for updated applications, letters that we send generally refer to the application being complete enough to take the next step, so that we're ready for the next phase of the process with the amount of information submitted.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you for the questions. Are there others or comments from council members?
I see Asa Lecky has his hand raised.
Thank you. Go ahead, Council Lecky.
Oh, yeah, I just had a quick question. In the hearing, there was, I forget the term, but there was some sort of certificate that was already sought by the county. And I had a meeting with one of our planners, and they had indicated that there was still one more outstanding requirement to meet with the planner, our public works director, and our prosecuting attorney, and that meeting hadn't happened yet. Is that going to be scheduled here shortly in the future? Thank you.
Are you referring to a meeting with FSEC and those parties, or with the applicant and those parties?
Sorry, the applicant.
I think we can reach out to the applicant and find out their schedule for those activities. I don't think that we have that information on hand.
Okay, thank you.
Very well. Other council comments or questions? None online?
Blake Nelson.
Council Nelson, thank you.
Hey, thank you. This is really an administrative comment, but I'm also a new council person. I've been on the council for I think 3 months now. I was able to attend the Cascade Renewable Transmission land use hearings and informational meetings in person in all 3 counties. And that was a huge undertaking. I don't know that folks get to see the technical, logistical, as well as the process side of it. So perhaps it's the season talking, but I just wanted to take a minute and thank FSEC staff for pulling that off because I was pretty amazed at how well they did go. I know people will have strong opinions and feedback, and that's what we're there to collect. And thank you for every bit of it about the projects themselves. But just wanted to say, as far as the hearings themselves went, that was no small undertaking, and just wanted to thank FSTEC staff for their professionalism and hard work.
Appreciate that very much. Thank you, Council Nelson. It is not easy, for sure. So
Absolutely not easy.
other comments or questions? Okay. And nothing online? All right. Then we will conclude the update on Cascade Renewable Transmission, or CRT, as we often refer to it, and I think will increasingly. And next up is the, sure, please, Council Pamplin.
Thanks. Yeah, when Ms. Hofkmeyer was kind of going through the briefing, there was still another section regarding the full composition of the CRT Project Council, and just wanted to invite any remarks on that relative to the memo that you had. Thanks.
Certainly. So, although notification letters went out upon receipt of the application, we identified that some of the notifications were not as explicit, particularly to the cities, with regards to whether or not they would appoint a council person. So we have sent additional communications indicating, if this proposal passes through your city limits, statute says you shall appoint somebody. We have identified some cities where, per our evaluation, it does not look like the project passes through their city limits. However, if they feel like it does, we certainly want to have that conversation to make sure that the council is comprised of everybody who has jurisdiction over some portion of this project. As I mentioned, we have been in touch with City of North Bonneville, again, with those questions about the application of, the portion of that project passing through and what that means for their participation going forward. We've also notified or invited the Port of Skamania. In the application, they are identified as a landowner, and as such, they're invited to appoint a non-voting council member. We have not heard responses to these additional notifications yet, and I think with the initial notifications that came out, some of the counties are still considering their local appointees as well. So the full composition of the council is still pending.
Thank you.
No, thank you for going into that topic. Were there other comments or questions accordingly?
Councilmember Asa Lecky.
Council Lecky?
Yeah, I'm sorry. My internet cut out there for a second. Was Stevenson consulted also, or is there a requirement to consult with the city of Stevenson? Thank you.
They were also reached out to, and because it very clearly goes through the city of Stevenson, we requested in the letter that they appoint a council person.
Thank you. Yeah, their mayor and some of the council seats are in transition, so you may not get a reply until the first part of January, just letting you know. Thank you.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, that's helpful for sure. So thank you, Council Lecky. Any other comments or questions from that good discussion? Okay, then with that, we will move to the transmission programmatic EIS, and Sean Green of the FSEC staff will provide our update. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chair Beckett and council members. This is Sean Green, SEPA specialist for FSEC. Following the issuance of the final transmission programmatic EIS on October 7th of 2025, staff have been working to finalize the publication of several support tools that have been developed to assist in future use of this document, including the eProgrammatic and a resource sensitivity online GIS tool. As a reminder, the eProgrammatic is an interactive website that will provide checklists, bookmarking tools, and cross-references for resource impacts and mitigation strategies discussed in detail within the programmatic EIS, while the Resource Sensitivity Online GIS tool is an interactive map showing environmental resources across the state that would be sensitive to environmental impacts that result from transmission projects. For both of these online tools, FSEC staff is working with WATEC to implement hosting support on FSEC's website. We have encountered a set of technical hurdles that are delaying this process and have subsequently reached out to the consultant that developed these tools for us to explore a solution where they host them for us in the interim. The objective would still be to complete our process with WATEC to host these tools on the FSEC website with in-house oversight. Once finalized, we anticipate having both the eProgrammatic and the GIS tool available in January of 2026, and will provide a live demonstration of them at the February council meeting. We are also continuing to coordinate with staff from the Department of Ecology to schedule a joint outreach campaign where our staff will visit with planning departments across the state to introduce our programmatic EISs and provide guidance on their purpose and anticipated use. Are there any questions?
Council members? Appreciate the ongoing engagement with WATEC and certainly appreciate continued updates on that, but thanks for this one. So, hearing no other comments, nothing online, Ms. Grantham? All right, then we will.
Should we also note for the record, excellent color coordination on this side of the FSEC staff table here at the hearing room. Maroon is the color of the day.
I was going to say, I had been focused on other things evidently, and appreciate that lighter moment. I would have gone with plum.
Okay.
But I'm sure it's open for debate. So they're looking sharp nonetheless. All right. With that, let's move to our other both category as well as in this case, starting with our end of the year director update by Director Bumpus.
Thank you, Chair Beckett. Thank you, council members. So 2025 has been just really a tremendous year for FSEC. I want to make a couple of comments also before I get into 2025, just to, given that we have new council members, talk a little bit about our history and where we started, because I think that's really relevant, and it also highlights some of the things I'm going to talk about with respect to the website redesign and branding that we've done for 2025. So when I came to FSEC basically had been, since its creation in the 1970s, nested with other larger agencies, was more or less treated as another program, and operated with administrative oversight of the larger agency. And I would say that for many years, really did not have the resources commensurate with the role that it has and the responsibility that it has, the tasks that it has to meet, right? So when FSEC became an independent agency in June of 2022, we really needed to distinguish ourselves as an independent agency. And that's kind of where this website redesign and branding and logo creation come in. We just really did not have a distinctive identity, having been for so many years part of larger agencies, first at Commerce and then at the Utilities and Transportation Commission. So just a little bit of history about us. Going back to January 2025, though, it's been a huge year. We've welcomed our new chair, Chair Beckett, to the agency. It's our first new chair in over 7 years. When Chair Beckett came to FSEC, the agency was already diving into a number of changes that we were making, strategic planning for the following 2 years being underway. We also were developing a project dashboard, a list of projects that we needed to undertake to stand the agency up. And so we are starting to see results. And I would say 2025 has been one of those years where there are just so many things coming together. The work on the website redesign started in October of 2024, and it was a huge project where all of our staff were collaborating with our contractor, but we were also reaching out to stakeholders and getting input from them on the functionality of the website and what we needed to do to improve it. It included partner agencies, tribal members, who participated in several user experiments to see how they were experiencing the website, and let us know what we could do to improve it. And so that was launched in June of 2025, and we're continuing to see things that we need to tweak. We have a presentation here in a little bit to show you some of the functionality of the website since it went live. But do know that as we move forward into 2026, we're still anticipating making changes. There's other things that we want to add to the website to improve its functionality. So, but it's huge that we've gotten that done. I've already talked a little bit about the logo and the rebranding. You know, we have our own logo. Prior, it was just Washington State seal, and staff had input into this logo, and I think that this is good in terms of helping to distinguish us from other agencies. And I think that it helps with our public outreach and letting people know who we are and who to contact when they want to engage with us. For regulatory reform, we completed a year-long effort to update agency rules, which are found in Title 463 of the Washington Administrative Code. The changes that took effect in June 22 aligned our rules with the statutory changes that became effective in June of 2022 when we became an independent agency. As far as the changes to the rules, these were aligning with things like the Public Records Act and the Environmental Health Law Reorganization Act, both of which impact our operations. For pre-application, I think we may have talked about this a little bit in the past. A lot is happening with pre-application. The FSEC Siting and Compliance team has made great strides in developing a pre-application toolkit for prospective applicants to use. There's also a pre-application form, and we're planning to post the toolkit and the pre-application form on the website next year. So there'll be more information about this. We're not done, but we've made great strides, and we have a final draft application. I keep saying application, I mean pre-application form that we're going to put on our website next year. And we're going to be developing narrative to go on this pre-application page for our website so that we can explain to prospective developers what this is and really encourage them to take advantage of the opportunity to work with us early on before they start the formal application process. We also completed the Transmission Programmatic Environmental Impact Statement. On October 7th, we released the document. It studied the effects of building, upgrading, and operating electrical transmission facilities with a nominal voltage of 230 kV or greater. This was mandated by legislation, and we coordinated with the Department of Ecology as they were developing their programmatic EISs that were released earlier this year, June 2025. And I think as Mr. Green mentioned, we're planning to do coordinated outreach, bring our programmatic in combination with theirs to do this outreach campaign and educate people and inform them about these programmatics and how to use them. Let's see, what else? Oh, projects certified. So January 9th, we talked a little bit about this as part of the Carriger update. Oh, sorry, I'm on the wrong one here. This is in reference to the Watchoma Solar Project. So January 9, we had the governor sign the Watchoma Solar Project, which was the 470 megawatt solar project that was permitted. And then December 2nd, we had the notification for the Carriger certification being approved. Sorry, as I was going into that next page, I thought that we were talking about Carriger first, being that it just happened, but don't want to forget about Watchoma. So anyway, having said all that, I just want to thank the council and the staff for all of the hard work in 2025. It's been a really tremendous year for us. There are a number of projects that we're working on that are going to continue into 2026. We know that there are several pre-applicants that are considering applying to us. And so I think all of these changes that we've implemented this year are going to really help facilitate a more efficient and more predictable review process. So thank you. And please let me know if you have any questions about any of the updates for 2025. And if none today, feel free to reach out to me anytime if you have questions about what's going on. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Director Bumpus, for the good update. And I certainly will quickly turn this to my fellow council members, but I think it would probably be inappropriate if I didn't. One, thank you for all your work, Director Bumpus, in all that you just listed. And I think as importantly, and if not more, probably from your perspective, and certainly mine as well, is to thank you to all the staff for years of hard work long before I came here, and a continued, certainly, effort in that regard, and especially with me here now this year. So I think I would also add on your list, the onboarding of the new chair was part of the journey for you amongst others this year. So I want to thank you in that regard and acknowledge that. And so I guess with that, let me just stop and I'll turn it to Council Pamplin, Council Roy Barrick, or others, or questions, etc.
No questions. Sort of on that note, first, thank you, Sonia, for the update, and obviously that's continuing my own onboarding, is to hear the work that's happened here in 2025. But did want to take a moment. In 2025 includes me joining the FSEC as the UTC's representative, and I'm participating in this for the UTC because as I took the role of UTC chair, it was important to me to be firsthand involved in this work. But I step into that space having had a UTC employee, Stacy Brewster, who was deeply involved in this work for many years. And I don't want to take away from that having stepped in here. I just want to recognize I stand on the shoulders of the work that she did. And we got to celebrate her yesterday at the UTC for 25 years of state service, and just a dedicated state employee. I know she'll continue to be involved in this work from the UTC's perspective in supporting us, and just wanted to recognize the great work she's done in 2025 and in many years before that, and will continue to help support this work as we go forward. So thank you, Stacy, for all the great work.
And I only had the pleasure of knowing Stacy here for the year, but she's been clearly a tremendous pillar of the council for a long time, and I certainly benefited from that with all the council members, but certainly Chair Brewster on occasion, and
Sure.
just general just knowledge and depth that she brings. So, anyone else at the moment? I have one more comment before we go, but Ms. Grantham, anyone online at the moment? Well, very well. Director Bumpus, I will kick this back to you in just a second, but let me just note the topic and kind of speak to it briefly. Pre-application, and you've certainly emphasized that in your comments. As chair, let me further reemphasize that, including for current participants with FSEC, but future participants with FSEC. It is a critical part of the path. And I don't think it's new, but I think it is only becoming more vital in the ability to sort through these complicated issues up front and in a more transparent and consistent way for all members of the public, regardless of what input they may have to the FSEC record. And so and I guess Commissioner Leckie or Council Leckie, noted this in his own way in certain comments that he was making. And so I think that'll be a further dedicated part, including for tribal consultation. And just would like to kind of note that on a year-end and year-ahead basis and encourage all parties to help work with FSEC, know that we're listening, we're anxious to better shape that process into something that is clear and accountable, that works for everyone. And so with that, the one item I was going to kick back to you, Director Bumpus, was I believe we have a public meeting or informational meeting on January 8th, if memory serves. And just wanted to note that there is a near term pre-application milestone that's the beginning of the beginning, but I don't know if there's anything you'd like to clarify for the record on that one. Okay, well, I think it'll be further pushed out in the various usual communication channels, but since it will be the beginning early in the year, just wanted to note it here in December since we're a few weeks out, but as always, that will soon be here tomorrow. So, all right, we'll see no other hands raised, then we will move on to our partners in the Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife, and there are wind and solar guidelines that have been, I think, promulgated, or you can help correct the right word I should be using, Council Pamplin.
We actually have Allie Smith giving a quick website.
Oh, I'm sorry. Apologies. Getting ahead of myself. So further heads up, I'm going to kick this to you, Council Pamplin, soon when we get to the final item. But thank you for saving me from myself. So with that, and a special thanks to Allie Smith, amongst others, who were deeply involved in the web not only redesign and most importantly launch, and now the continued nursing of how the functionality actually works in the real world. So apologies, Allie, but with that, please proceed.
Oh, thank you. I am, can I just get confirmation that everybody can hear me?
We can hear you very well,
good.
So thank you.
Thank you. And if I can get confirmation that you can see the slideshow.
We can see.
Awesome, thank you so much.
We can see a slideshow, whether it's the slideshow, Allie.
Well, I hope that we are looking at the same slideshow, FSEC Council meeting, December 2025, search functionality on our redesigned website.
That's the one. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, good afternoon and welcome. My name is Allie Smith, and I am the management analyst here at FSEC. Thank you for taking a few extra minutes out of your day to listen to our presentation on our public website search functionality. So I'm expecting that walking through this slide deck will take about 10 or 15 minutes. This slide deck is available in the council packet. I do ask that we hold any council questions until the end, and for tracking purposes, we are really encouraging public input and questions to be sent to our dedicated email address, which will be provided at the end of the presentation. We'll leave that up for a few minutes just to make sure you have time to capture it. It is also at the top of our website, should you need it there as well. For the agenda, a few key pieces I will be talking through include changes to our public website specific to searching. So the goal of this presentation is to socialize searching in our new website. We hope you walk away with a greater understanding of how to look for the events and documents that you're interested in. So on this slide on the right side, there's an image of the top of our homepage on our website. We will see this image a few times in this presentation. A bit of background to help set the stage. As you have noticed, we have been doing work on our public website and implemented a redesigned site in the summer of 2025, so just 6 months ago at this point. Over the last year, we at FSEC have been working with Anthrotech. They are a human-centered design consultancy who has also done work with Washington Department of Transportation, Washington State Legislature, and many more. Together, we have done user surveys with them, content review and inventory activities, workshops, focus group feedback sessions, accessibility evaluations, and FSEC training. So right now we are kind of in that second bullet there, that post-launch phase. And moving forward, starting in January, we're going to continue stabilization efforts and enhancements. In the next two slides, let's think about the two versions of our website. So we have past and current. And why does the change to searching really matter? So for the old website, some struggles we encountered were staff time was spent manually updating, assigning, reassigning information, redirecting users to the right places. This also resulted in a siloed and information that was inconsistent and outdated. So a key benefit of this redesign is what we are calling interconnectedness. So what that means is the information is stored once, and whenever that information is referenced, the system will pull from that central source. So a good example of what that means in real world terms is think of your phone or your phone contacts. So when you go into your phone contacts and you update somebody's name, you'll see their name updated in many areas, such as text threads, favorites list, group chats, etc. But you only updated it that one time in the contact. So that means that resources now talk to each other across sections of the website. So for our user, that is anybody who accesses our website is our user. What does that mean for their experience? Thinking about the old model and the new model, we are moving from static to connected page elements. In the old model, the experience was more linear, the pages were longer, content was siloed, meaning it didn't talk to each other. There were underutilized tags and links would become broken. In the new model, the experience is more intuitive with that human-centered design element. It is interactive, direct, there's less layers, and there's improved tag usage and linking. So if you find yourself wondering what is a tag, that's okay. I'll explain that now. Think of it as a way of labeling and putting items into categories. It helps people find what they're looking for faster. So a key takeaway of these two slides is the new website behaves more like an interactive ecosystem, whereas the old website kind of read like a pamphlet that you would have to click through. And how does all this relate to searching? We're getting there. So with the redesign, our team has been working to add more tags and metadata. So the tags will help the user find what they're looking for faster, and it also allows them greater control over what they may be looking for. With connections, the user has many ways to find the same thing. Because as we know, a document might have many connections. It might be related to a facility. It might be related to an event, such as a meeting or a hearing. And it might also be related to a milestone. Think of the connection as a direct relationship between two items, and the tag is the description of that thing. By creating more tags and connections, users will experience more relevant search results. Oops, I apologize. I think I skipped ahead. All right. So we are still on that same slide. So searching within the website can be done in multiple ways. I'm going to pull up a laser pointer here, so you'll see a red image on the screen. So you have this white search box at the top right, the tabs just below, and then you also have...
Allie, I'm not sure we've progressed to the thing that you're looking at. We're still see the wait slide.
Oh, the wait slide.
Thank you.
Okay. And if I click forward, are you on the searching slide?
No.
It says, wait, what does this mean for searching?
Yeah.
We've been on that. We've been on that for a little bit now.
I'm sorry. Let me go ahead
No,
and end the slideshow and then reshare. And are you on the searching slide now?
No, it's the FSEC Council meeting December 2025 slide. The first slide is what it's showing.
Okay. Andrea, would you mind pulling up, and I will just go ahead and say next slide to you so we can stay on target here?
Yeah, I can do that.
Thank you so much. Yes, that should be, yes, that's the one we're on there. So I apologize. So we'll start from the top of my notes here, just so we are all on the same page looking at the same thing. So with the redesign, our team has been working to add more tags and metadata. So the tags will help the user find what they're looking for faster, but also gives them greater control over what they're looking for. As we know, a document can have many connections, and so the user has many ways to find the same thing. Sorry, I got a little flustered because things went out of whack there. That's okay. So think of the connection as a direct relationship between two items and the tag as a descriptive label. By creating more tags and connections, the users will experience more relevant search results. So no, you can't see my pointer here, but at the very top right of that image, there's a white search box. Just below that, there is some tabs. There's a yellow box there. That's the second way to search. And the third way to search is that big box in the center. There's a yellow box there that you can select tabs from. Thank you, Andrea. So the white box at the top, that very top right one, that is a general search that just searches page content. Today, we're going to focus on two targeted searches. So one would be for hearings and meetings, and the other, which would be for documents. You can access that search in two ways, and those are both available in those yellow boxes. So one is that top ribbon, and the other is towards the bottom left of that image in that search area. Thank you. Go ahead and move on to the next slide. So searching for hearings and meetings, which I might also call events, and documents are among the top tasks for our users. Based on the user survey that we did with our consultancy, users are most interested in the following 4 tasks: looking up information about a specific project or facility, finding information about an upcoming meeting, hearing, or proceeding, finding information about a past meeting, hearing, or proceeding, and then reviewing comments from a comment period. Translating these broad tasks into context, James wants to read about the Cascade Renewable Transmission Informational Hearing and Land Use Consistency Hearing meeting in November of 2025. James would be able to navigate to that information from the tabs at the top, so in that top yellow box, or the middle using that bottom yellow box. Based on this example, James may wish to look at the event itself to read a summary about it, watch the recording, access relevant documents, and more. James could navigate to the event search from either of those sections. If James was interested in going directly to the documents, James could select the document search either at the top under Find Documents or in the bottom left using the Documents tab in the middle section. With interconnectedness, James would be able to navigate to his desired advanced search, perform the search, and then find the related content within that. Let's go ahead and scroll down to the next slide, please. The page for all hearings and meetings, like I said, also known as events, has some pre-sorted tabs at the top there. So that would be just under, Andrew, if you could point it out for me, where it's the public hearings, council, go up a little bit more, there you go. Using the tabs, public hearings, council meetings, and public comment period. So these are pre-sorted results if the user wants to look at these specific things. Just below that, there is a basic keyword search, which people can type, just a text-based search, or if they select the more ways to search, there is filters that they can use. The advanced search uses tags, those tags we mentioned earlier, as filter criteria to give the user more control over search results. We recommend using the facility name, the meeting type, which could be informational public hearing as an example, or date ranges to help narrow down your search. Move on to the next slide, please. If the user happened to go to the document search using that find documents, they are presented with a similar experience. They have the basic keyword search and then the advanced search by selecting more ways to search. The functionality between the event search and document search is very similar. So due to the content needs and the metadata associated with these two items, the searches are targeting two different pools of information, but with interconnectedness, if you get access to one, you can get to the other. Key recommendations that we have for the advanced search function would be using filters such as facility name, document type, and language. Move on to the next slide, please. So I do apologize. These images are small, but these are live on the website now. So if you would like a higher resolution, please feel free to navigate to those. They are linked in the pictures there. So what does this mean for James? So James was able to find the event Cascade Renewable Transmission Informational Hearing, Land Use Consistency Hearing, and for Klickitat County from the event search and navigated to it. So that's that image that you're seeing there. Is he navigated to that event, and that was what was presented when he opened it. As a result of the connections, James can access the most up-to-date information for the related comment period. So that's going to be that blue box in the middle. He can navigate to that. He can navigate to the facility page, which in this example is for Cascade Renewable Transmission. He can access documents and many more through this event. If James happened to go to the Cascade Renewable Transmission facility page, this event would be presented there, and he can also navigate to the documents associated with it and so forth. So instead of the isolated pages that users experienced in the past, the connections behave more like that ecosystem where it's all connected together. Let's go on to the next slide, please. So what does this mean for our users? Again, our users are anybody that goes to our public website. This means that information is correct, up to date, and easier to find. Related topics have better visibility due to their connections and tags. So you might see that somebody went to the facility page and saw something they might not have been looking for or didn't realize would be there. They'll be presenting with that information because it's interlinked. Once learned, the navigation feels more intuitive with many paths to the same results. And then the user experience is more consistent across the site over time. Go on to the next slide, please. So up next for us, keeping a human-centered design and user-focused website will continue to play a large part in our website work. So we are expecting to continue gathering feedback and monitoring user needs and enhance functionality based on the user input and feedback. All right, if we can go to the next slide. Thank you. As I mentioned, this is the our email address for the website. I thank you so much for the time today, and I really hope that you have learned about the connections and ways to search on our updated website. We are encouraging support from the public, and for tracking and retention purposes, we do ask to submit through our dedicated email address. So that's that one there on the screen. It is also at the top of our website. At this time, is there any questions from the council?
Council members, I guess let me first say thank you, Allie, for not only the presentation, but also I would note the very wise choice of Cascade Renewable Transmission as kind of your user example. And I couldn't have asked for a better top of mind selection. So appreciate that. I certainly use the website, and even though we have some internal resources here, so it's been a pleasure to see that evolving, knowing it's a work in progress. So with my, I'm sure too long of comments today, council members, other questions, comments?
Other than just I like the language, and I like the concept of human-centered approaches to technology, and I just really appreciate it. I cannot imagine the amount of work that went into getting something that has this type of functionality to it, and just getting data connected, given the data that probably already existed. So appreciate it very much, and look forward to being a super user of this website.
Very well. All right. I don't think I see anything online. Let me double check. And anything else, Director Bumpus, as a close to that, or I will wrap us up.
I don't have anything to add.
I'm trying to put you on the spot.
No, just thanks to the council and the staff for a wonderful year, and please give us feedback on the website as you're using it. I'll admit I'm often, I'll just admit, sometimes I go to the website rather than RS Track.
Yeah. That's why it evolves, right?
So no, thank you though.
All right. Thank you again very much for the presentation. And evidently my overexuberance on getting to wind and solar guidelines, I do want to note for other council members that both the other section in general, much as we try to, put this out in public and information we think that's relevant both to council and the public, this outside presentation is one that maybe hasn't been done in a while, and to the degree that it's kind of at the tail end of the meeting in case someone needs to depart a little early. I think this is worthy of everyone's attention. It's the topic, but just want to acknowledge this was something that we were trying to do in our evolution here. And with that, I would turn this to Council Pamplin to really just kick us off. Thank you so much for helping to facilitate this today. We have Mike Ritter from the department as well, who's going to make the presentation. So I want to thank Mike in advance, or Mr. Ritter in advance. With that, Council Pamplin, whatever you'd like to say and kick us off here.
Great. Well, thank you, Mr. Chair. And yeah, really appreciate the opportunity. I think this is something I see in other forums that I'm on. And so I appreciate that there's this opportunity here at FSEC to bring related items, useful information, whether it's an energy forecast or an agency update. And here, the Department of Fish and Wildlife has updated our wind and solar energy guidelines. Our guidelines for wind energy had come out in 2009, so it was time to refresh that. And Mr. Mike Ritter, who's based in the Tri-Cities, and his team in our Habitat program did a tremendous amount of work here over the past year. And just would like to turn it over to Mr. Ritter to walk us through the guidelines. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yep, you're coming through.
Awesome. And FSEC, if you could run my slideshow for me, I'll just tell you, next slide, please. Good enough?
Will do.
Awesome. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Chair Beckett, FSEC council members, thank you so much for inviting us to your meeting. As Mr. Pamplin said, I'm Mike Ritter. I'm our lead planner for solar and wind energy development, and I, along with Emily Grabowski and Michelle Huppert, make up the solar and wind unit within the department. I've got just a short presentation for you today on how we develop these guidelines and the current state of affairs. Next slide, please. Mr. Pamplin kind of alluded to it. And, why update and write new guidelines? Well, the 2009 wind power guidelines were very old and outdated. We have no solar guidelines. And over the last 6 years, there has been an incredible increase in the amount of utility scale solar projects in the state. And presently we're managing, you can see there are 95 solar and 58 wind projects. I'd like to point out that about 3 of those solar projects and 28 of the wind are operational. So the majority of the projects are still in some type of planning or pre-planning stage. Next slide, please. So we started on this process back in January of 2004, and early on, we decided to publish one document with specific callouts for guidance related to wind or solar. And we wanted this to be a broad cast out into the planning world to target tribes, renewable energy developers, environmental consultants, permitting authorities, and other external stakeholders. A key partnership we had through this whole thing was consulting assistance from Ross Strategic and Kramer Consulting. We conducted extensive internal and external engagement, and the process basically lasted about 20 months. Next slide, please. Just want to kind of give you a check of where we're at. So there we go. We're starting to write on these new guidelines, and the world didn't stop. We still continued to manage a great deal of solar and wind projects. And about 124 of all these projects came in within the last 6 years. So there's quite a bit of interest in the state of Washington. We have chosen to work with permitting authorities on all of these projects. And as you can see that quite a few of them are unknown where they're going to go through permitting. So they're kind of in the pre-planning stages at this point. But there's a fair number that are going through FSEC and a fair number going through county permitting. Next slide, please. So our engagement was extensive. It covered the whole pretty much 20-month process. We had 4 tribal forums, 4 stakeholder workshops, 2 joint feedback workshops, 1 industry-specific workshop, 3 hypothetical scenario workshops. We developed a web-based public input survey for community members to tell us how they felt about renewables on the landscape. And we also conducted individual outreach. Next slide, please. And key to this document was internal engagement, working with our WDFW colleagues. And we had 7 internal focus group meetings. I believe these were held every 2, maybe every 3 weeks for quite some time. And we went through the whole gamut of working out all the issues on biological survey methods, construction buffers and timing, cumulative impacts, best management practices, habitat classification, mitigation, and operational monitoring and adaptive management. We conducted quite a few individual meetings with species specialists. And towards the end, we briefed the director and gained support from upper management for our approach to conservation and supporting renewable energy development. And in the end, there were really no surprises. Everyone saw everything we were doing along the entire way. Next slide, please. So we were on an aggressive timeline there for a bit. And just 8 months after starting the process, we put out a draft for review in October of 2024. We had quite a few of distinct comments. We responded to virtually every one of them, incorporating things into the draft. And then we did a lot of rewriting, redrafting, internal discussions, and we decided on a second 30-day comment period several months later. That really kind of extended our timeline, but it greatly improved the document. Next slide, please. So what did we get out of all this? Next slide, please. We have a document structure that's focused on 7 steps of exploratory planning, preliminary project planning, assessing wildlife and habitat on the site, minimization, mitigation, buffers for construction and operation, and operational monitoring and adaptive management. Now, through all of this, these are guidelines, and our role is to provide technical assistance and recommendation to FSEC and other permitting authorities. So this 7-step process is complementary to the FSEC process, but also SEPA-based permitting through counties and cities, and the new programmatic EISs from the Department of Ecology. Next slide, please. Well, and since this is a really comprehensive document, we decided instead of putting it in the document, we'd put some appendices in there that really showed the detail that we put into this. And we have a section, an appendices on best management practices, one for survey protocols, another on mitigation, one for buffers and around construction and operation, and a cumulative impacts assessment section. Next slide, please. So, well, great. You got this great document. What are some of the important features that we want people to really focus in on? We think the document has a great flow to it and readability. There's a flow chart that visualizes the 7-step process, which I think is really useful. It's a 1-page colored coded document with arrows on it, pretty simple to read. And the guidelines include icons for specific solar or wind content. We added a new section on operational monitoring and adaptive management. Remember, these projects are permitted for decades, and not only do habitats change, but wildlife populations fluctuate. So we want to be able to continue to interact with projects and their consultants on how we might better address any issues that might arise with habitat or wildlife. And then finally, we added a section on cumulative impacts and how to assess them. And next slide, please. A couple more important sections. Minimization. We put in a lot of effort on this best management practices to minimize impacts to wildlife and for vegetation management. We think this is really important as these facilities are kind of green energy, and we're in the process. We're in the line of work to, conserve and perpetuate natural resources. So I think we got to work together on these best management practices. We also included a mitigation section, and we discussed mitigation throughout the entire duration of the development of these guidelines. And what we ended up with were some ratios that go up to 5-to-1. And the ratios relate to the types of mitigation. It's based on species, or wildlife, I should say, and habitats. It's based on best available science. And we decreased our emphasis on in lieu fees, instead of putting more effort and emphasis on acquisition of conservation easements, acquisition or conservation easements with restoration. Next slide, please. So implementation's kind of weird. It's like, do we just start doing this? No, we've been doing this for a long time, but we've kind of formalized it here in these guidelines. It's in press, it's for people to read, and guidelines are useful. I'd like to note that our interactions with a lot of these entities, whether it be the consultants, the projects themselves, the permitting officials, is time tested. We go through a process of how to evaluate a project, and this is probably one of the first places that it's really been formalized in the 7-step process. Again, we developed a new solar guidelines and revised the wind guidelines. We provided a lot of online resources to help with your desktop analysis. So issue or conservation areas, wildlife areas in Washington. So you're aware of things before you make a decision on land commitments. Again, I can't overemphasize the early engagement with WDFW to address any issues. And something we had on the back burner for quite some time for this whole process was getting a dedicated website to our solar and wind energy development. And we launched that, I believe, in October. So within a month of publishing the guidelines, we launched the web page. And with that, I would like to conclude the short presentation. And once again, thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ritter. Certainly a pleasure having you here today. We appreciate you and those around you making time amidst other priorities we know that you certainly have. Let me first turn this to members of the council for comments or questions first. So, Mr. Pamplin, Council Pamplin, go ahead and lead us in.
Thanks,
here.
Mr. Chair, and thanks, Mr. Ritter. When we talk about cumulative impacts, and maybe I'll ask Ms. Hofkmeyer a little bit about this as well. When we're analyzing cumulative impacts for an FSEC project, are we considering those projects that we're just aware of at FSEC, or are you also working with the major projects team at the Department of Fish and Wildlife? Because as Mr. Ritter indicated, over 90 solar projects, that's potentially coming our way. Over 50 wind projects are also coming our way. So just wanted to know the level of coordination between the two agencies. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Pamplin. We do ask and coordinate with Department of Fish and Wildlife on projects that they may be aware of. We also ask other agencies, particularly the Department of Archaeology and Historic Preservation, Department of Ecology, Department of Natural Resources, the local planning department. One of the aspects of cumulative impacts, particularly in projects that are more rural, is not only additional wind and solar development, but as it may relate to disturbance of native vegetation or wildlife migration corridors, other types of development. So would there be cumulative impact loss to migration corridors, as an example, from not only a solar development, but a housing development? So there are different lenses from which to look at cumulative impacts, and it is part of our process to try and open all those boxes, as it were, to make sure we're being comprehensive.
Please. Thanks, Mr. Chair. And to Mr. Ritter, just from your experience, when you think about 90 different project applicants approaching the department on solar projects, how much of that is prospecting versus how much of that is a project coming to fruition? So is it of the 90 solar projects, do you anticipate 80 being proposed for development, or does some of that after the consult with the Department of Fish and Wildlife, does it come to a dead end for what, a variety of reasons? Thank you.
Thank you for the question, Mr. Pamplin. I've been working wind and solar for 16 years with the agency, and I'm only aware of 2 projects that have ended, not because of us, but I think just their time ran out, so to speak. And when you say prospecting, the projects the numbers I shared with you are projects that have some type of land agreement already in place. That is and we know this because they've made a sensitive data request to our agency. And to make that data request, they have to have control of an area, specific area. So their claim has already been made. Yes, are there others prospecting out there? So prospecting now with the new guidelines. Through this whole process, we've been saying engage with WDFW early. So through the guidelines process, we have been contacted by consultants who represent multiple developers saying, I have a client who is interested in the X, Y, and Z areas. What can you tell us about them? And we would meet internally, provide them information, and they would either modify their proposed area. Again, they have no land control at this point, just areas they're interested in. So it's, I don't know if that helps answer the question. I don't see any of them going away, I guess is what I'm saying. At this point.
Thanks, Mr. Ritter. That makes sense.
Yes.
Other questions from the council? Well, I have one, and we won't draw this out too long, but appreciate everyone's participation. And I think you partially answered this, Mr. Ritter, but I'll put it in a question I've been, pointing to others, like our transmission programmatic EIS, Department of Ecology has 3 others. Is there a notable, what I'll call first mover that you've seen, kind of move through all the 7 steps, knowing much of that ultimately is not in your control, as you've noted, but is there an example that stands out at this point that's also appropriate to be shared in a public forum like this?
Going through the 7 steps, yes, there are projects that have contacted us early, even before just right before the guidelines were published, because they were aware of the 7-step process, and they say, we're looking at these areas. What can you tell us? So that's step number 1. Step number 2 is for them to take it back to their teams use our information and see if they can make the site work or say, we're not going to develop there. So all the projects I shared with you earlier, the 90 number and the 28 new or the 30 new wind projects, those are almost like all pre-guideline because they have site control. And now we're looking for this next slug of projects that want to start off on step one with us, which is difficult for industry because there's a lot of security around their decisions about what they're going to do on the land.
Thank you.
You're
Makes
welcome.
sense.
And just
Please,
by
Councilor Bear.
Mr. Ritter, thank you, Mr. Chairman. By security, you mean in that case financial security?
I almost said the word secrecy as well.
Ah, okay.
You know, yeah, I think there's a
That there-
lot. Yeah, yeah, and it's yes, there's a lot.
Meaning it's
riding
a
on.
competitive
Oh.
industry, and that's the reason that you're seeing some.
Extremely, yes.
Thank you. That's it.
I guess I would just add, by there's probably different words we can attribute to it. Some of which is, competitive environment and commercially sensitive information, things like that. But it ultimately is, different forms of risk management, right? And how does that play out? So, Director Bumpus.
Given the conversation, I just wanted to mention one or two things. I really appreciate the presentation. I think this is very good. It's FSEC staff were attending some of these meetings when outreach was going on to help inform the update to the guidelines, and we've really appreciated DFW's efforts and their continued coordination to provide input into the process. So. And congratulate the agency on that accomplishment. What I wanted to share with council, and really just to bring it to your attention, as you think about the guidelines that are developed, will in the future be developed at other agencies who have those particular expertise. FSEC does have construction and operation standards if you're interested. It's Title 463. 62, and there is a WAC 463-62-040 that is the Fish and Wildlife Construction and Operation Standard. And essentially it says that the council's intent is to achieve a no net loss of habitat function and value with respect to siting energy facilities. And so as DFW has updated their guidance, we, as was talked about earlier in this meeting and as discussed in the presentation, there is support from Ecology and the Department of Fish and Wildlife, and we reach out to the Department of Natural Resources, and essentially we reach out to whoever we need to reach out to who has that expertise, right? But we do have our construction operation standards that we look to. And we'll also take into consideration the other guidance that's out there. And as the regulatory thresholds change, FSEC will also have to, update. And so that's another big part of our job, right? Now that we're an independent agency, we're not connected to a bigger agency to kind of have those tendrils out. So we're plugged in with other agencies to make sure we know what they're doing with respect to protecting resources and changing their rules. So, but I just wanted to draw your attention to the construction and operation standards, and specifically the Fish and Wildlife.
Thank you for adding. Good comment for sure. I will soon try and wrap us up here, much as I was going to add another comment. I'm sure you're shocked, but others first, please. Well, without extending it too much, I guess one, Director Bumpus hits on a key reminder that has its reasons. There's other reasons to, not come to FSEC, and hence local pathways that are open, or the Department of Ecology, are important for sure. And I'm sure there's other examples of this in other permit pathways. But FSEC by design, as the director just highlighted, as I like to call it, hopefully appropriately, it's a swaddle to grave place. So once the project is proposed, and if it is ultimately granted a site certification agreement, which is not a given, obviously, but once that is then, we will have you, through the life of that project. And I think there's some strengths and benefits to that. I think there's best practices that can be both further, I'm sure, enhanced or, clarified, made easier in some cases in FSEC. But as we do that, if there's things that we've developed, much as Fish and Wildlife has done in your new guidelines, we can help push those or just be aware of those practices in other places. And FSEC ultimately, by design, is the state permit integrator. And so as different pieces of these requirements are then amalgamated inside the FSEC permit process, one that's a little complicated at times, in fairness to the mission of the agency, but I think there's further opportunity to leverage exactly that fact, whether inside FSEC where appropriate or, in partnership outside it. And I'll just close with noting, as was on full display, I think to all of us, there's a lot of things in lots of different places in terms of where they show up. And sometimes they're early and kind of in the rumor stage, but nonetheless, there's an inquiry going, testing and using the new 7-step, or at least the first step, if I heard it right. And using some of the limited resources that the staff of Fish and Wildlife have. So we appreciate that. But ultimately, if the state family can help keep a more integrated eye on that collective, not only activity that's going on, but I certainly, understand that the sum of that from a cumulative impacts type of issue, no matter which habitat or species, is a very vital part of what I think has been being worked on long before I came, to FSEC in this case. But I do think it's part of the next wave of shared work that we can use to make this hopefully smoother, clearer, and ultimately find the least impact or no impact alternatives, certainly, that we can. So with that, last call for questions or comments. Okay, well then, I had one closing word that I meant to make in my opening comment about our challenging flood conditions, but it's probably perhaps even more appropriate as we wrap this meeting and the various kind of year-end and a little bit of year-ahead comments and updates we've had. Is certainly, I think we just, in these challenging times, the most key thing is to stick together and to work together. And that doesn't always mean universal agreement about things by any means. But if we don't stick to it and keep working it together with discipline and rigor and just shared commitment to one another, which I certainly see in this room today, and I appreciate that. And those online, thanks for participating on this more extended period here on our other section today. So with that, a safe and happy holiday and best wishes soon to the new year. And at 3:23, we are adjourned. Thank you.